and recording is in progress. So we titled this presentation, Who Draws the Short Straw, Freelancers or AI? We won't be talking only about it, as you may imagine, but we just wanted to have an attractive title so that you join us today. I already introduced these first things about presenting results today, so we can move to the next slide. So before turning to the latest Gigmetar findings, it is really important to note the broader context in which the regional digital market is developing. And I think that we all experienced shocking results of the changes in the first half of 2026 that was marked by a combination of economic, technological, and other pressures that are reshaping and influencing work globally and across Southeast Europe. You probably all know that global economic growth has continued to slow, while geopolitical instability at the same time has continued to grow. And all this creates uncertainty for businesses and workers alike, and our online platform workers are actually no exception. Another important development is related to speeding up of artificial intelligence adoption, especially in the markets which actually demand the workers and labor force from Southeast Europe. And this is really transforming how work is organized and performed, creating on one side new opportunities, but also actually forming new challenges for digital workers. So last but not least, across Southeast Europe, these developments are further compounded by continuous labor shortages and ongoing immigration, and this really influences the availability of skills and talent on local market. So it is against this backdrop that we should interpret the trends and results that we are going to present today. Now, without further ado, I will give floor to my colleague Tanya that will introduce key parameters of Gigmetar report.
Nice to meet you all. For those who are for the first time with us, let me remind you that we are covering 9 countries of Southeast Europe: Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Croatia, Romania, Albania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we are monitoring around 90,000 workers, which are working on 3 global and labor platforms, Upwork, Freelancer, and Guru. And we are selecting them into 6 occupational groups based on only methodology, which we are going to talk about a little bit later. And they are divided so on professional services, software development, creative and multimedia, sales and marketing support, clerical and data entry, and writing and translation. And we also focus very much on gender and earning analysis. As Branka said, our key question is how they're adapting to the new market trends, and you will see that they're very interesting development. Right now, we have a regional gig force which reached 91,657 workers. This is below our historical levels since we are measuring the labor force with Gigmetar, and we used to have more than 100,000 people on these 3 platforms. In comparison to previous measurements, we now have increased workforce by 3%, meaning that in the previous measurements we saw a decline in workforce. So this is like let's say a good news, and the people coming back to the platforms. And this growth is recorded across all countries. So it's not like about one country. It's probably a part of then suggesting a trend which is larger and which closely connects both to our own economies and the global economy per se. And in this EU countries account, so among the countries we are focusing on, EU countries account for 51.9% of workers and non-EU countries 48.1%. There are deep reasons for that. You will learn about it later. But let me just say that non-EU countries represent only 28% of the region's population, meaning that although in general having a lower percentage, those workers are much more inclined to looking for work on global online labor platforms. And now again, with no further ado, I'm turning now your attention to my colleague Zoran Kalinic, who will speak about methodology.
Thank you, Tanya. Good morning to all. Well, as Tanya mentioned, we actually collect data from 3 platforms, Upwork, Freelancer, and Guru, but generally our detailed analyses are based on Upwork as a leading digital platform in the region and generally in the world. So our instrument is based on the analysis of massive data. We try to collect as much as we can. It is about 70 to 80% of the total number of active digital workers. Why this is not 100? Because we are collecting data by web scraping of publicly available data. So some freelancers hide their profiles on Upwork. So you need to be registered to see those profiles. Since we are collecting publicly available data which is available to a regular visitor who is not registered, who doesn't have a profile on Upwork, this number is limited to 70 to 80% of the total population of the total number, but it is still very significant sample. We collect data twice a year, and therefore we published our national and regional reports twice a year, and this is a spring edition of our regional report. Next slide, please. So we collect a lot of data. Some of them we collect directly from the profiles of freelancers. Some of them we estimate. For example, gender, one of the important variables in our analysis, is not directly available at freelancer profile, so we need to estimate it. And here we use a hybrid approach by which we first use a commercially available service which tries to estimate gender based on a freelancer name. And if this estimation is not reliable enough, we manually look at the photo of freelancer and then estimate gender by just looking at a photo. Next, we use location for our location-based analysis. Hourly rate. Here we only have requested higher hourly rate, how much a freelancer asks for his work. This could be seen as a limitation of our approach because we don't know for how much they really work. Next, we also use number of completed jobs and number of jobs in progress. Each freelancer on his or her profile sets a set of skills. So based on these skills, we estimate or determine the main and additional occupations. As Tanya already mentioned, here we use the classification suggested by Oxford Internet Institute for Open Labor Index, by which all occupations are divided into 6 main groups. And here we have some kind of conversion table between skills and these 6 occupations, and then we simply count in which of these occupations freelancer has the most of the skills, and that would be his main occupation. Also, we analyze a total income of freelancer. So those are the main data, the main variables which we are using for our analysis. Some of the limitations I already mentioned. We are focused on one, but the most important digital platform views requested, not the real or obtained hourly rate. And also we are not able to provide any or to estimate any freelancer sentiment. So for this, we would need some qualitative analysis. That would be a short presentation of our methodology. Now you will hear the most important results from our recent screening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Branka and Kale, for this introduction. You put a huge burden on me and Luba to the most important results to present this. Just to make a joke at the beginning, so today is 13th edition of the Gigmetar. Fortunately, we are not doing that on Friday. Otherwise, it would be very strange. And the results are not, as this number 13 would suggest, are not really bad. As Tanya mentioned in introduction, we have some kind of revival of the market after the last two measurements where we were having opposite trends, and where the market on the labor, regarding the labor supply, were experiencing some kind of decline, more or less. So we have the market, which is generally growing, and since we are observing three dominant general online labor platforms, that means that they gather and attract gig workers with a very diverse set of skills they dispose. So these are not specialized platforms observing only I don't know, some specialized professions like translation and writing. Then also there are many other these six professions already mentioned, classified by the online labor index of Oxford Institute. What we have now, we are not only having the growth of the overall market, which is moderate in a sense, especially compared to some periods as it happened during this huge exogenous shock of COVID-19 influence, where we have really explosion of this market and the inflow of many new gig workers. Now we have moderate growth, but this growth is not equally distributed if we observe these three platforms we are following. And we have in a kind two platforms which registered growth. This is the Upwork, this main platform. We are tracking what happens on it on a more detailed way. We have also the case that Guru showed some kind of growth, which was very small, moderate, but this is in accordance with some previous records we noticed on this platform. So we can say, and we have opposite direction, we have a relatively big contraction of the labor force on the freelancers. So almost 1/5 of the labor force is lost. So the freelancers went out from this platform. What is from these three platforms most important is the Guru, which almost always has a small changes. So it has maybe the most stable cohort of the gig workers among these three platforms, although the Upwork is dominant platform in a sense that it takes the lion's share of the market, and in every country is a dominant platform. Its share goes from something above 48% in Bulgaria up to 70% in Albania. And these two growth rates obviously more than neutralized decline, which was registered on the freelancer on the platform, freelancer platform, and generally. How huge the dominance of on Upwork on average or market share of the platform. The best evidence for that is the fact that 57 out of every 100 regional gig workers are active exactly on this platform. Please, next slide. But the other feature of the newest measurement is the fact that the growth rates were oscillating, so not really equally present among or distributed among the countries. And if you look at this data presented here, you can see on this slide. Basically, we have one very specific situation which is unique compared to the previous measurements, and that is the fact that in the EU countries, for the first time, this is as you can see in every single country of the region, which is also the member of the EU, we have higher growth rates than it was recorded in the countries outside of the EU region, or the rest of the Western Balkan countries we are monitoring through the Gigmetar. The highest growth was recorded in Romania, which already has the biggest share in the regional workforce of the gig workforce. And the growth rate was more than 1/4 of the overall population. Bulgaria also had a huge growth, and double-digit growth was recorded also in other two countries, plus Montenegro, other two countries of the EU plus Montenegro. Serbia is the other important market in the region, which together with the Romania accounts almost for the half of the workforce in the region. It had a relatively moderate rate, especially compared to the previously mentioned countries. Also, the growth was decent in Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and North Macedonia, which suggests that what happened on the market is the combination of the global forces. Because if in every single country you have a growth of the labor force, that means something outside of their national specificities is attracting them to step in onto the digital labor platform, and the national specificities determine the rate by which they enter the digital labor market. And obviously, in this measurement, the national specificities or characteristics influenced more strongly the growth in the countries in the region, which are the members of the EU community. Next slide, please. When it comes to the activity, which basically means how many workers we are tracking on the dominant platforms were working or having active projects at the time of the measurement, we have here that not almost 1/3, and 28.4% of the workers were having projects at the point of the measurement, which is not really a low percentage. In which sense? Because if you read different sources, you will see that the employment rate from all the active workers or registered workers is considerably lower than it is the case with this figure of 28.4%. But what the problem is the fact that it dropped from more than 34.9% from the previous measurement, it may be an indicator on the state of the market, in a sense that it is getting harder to obtain the job of the platform. And what we further noticed is that there are huge or important, let's say, variations in the activity rate or the employment of the gig workers among the 9 countries we are observing. In that sense, Serbia continuously has the most active workforce, in a sense that more than 1/3, so 37.1% of all the active workers or registered workers we are tracking were working at the time of the measurement, which is relatively huge level. Also in North Macedonia, it was a rather high level. And there are some other countries. Albania continuously underperforms in this regard and always is around 1/5 of the workforce who is working at the time of the measurement, as well as Bulgaria and Romania, where these percentages are a bit higher. These relatively high percentages also suggest that there is a space and they can compete on the global market relatively successfully, because, as I said, the average employment rate is considerably lower than this 28.4, or even in a case of Albania, where it is only 20.9%, it is higher than it is the case with the world average. So please, next slide. As we mentioned, we have 6 professions we are tracking, and the thing which is actually the most interesting in this measurement, and which is potentially also highly risky for the future development of the market, is the distribution of the growth on the professional level. In which sense? So we have really a huge growth then, because the growth in data entry and administrative services, because the population in this profession grow by the rate of 36% on average. And what is the fact? This is you will see later when Luba present the results. This is the profession which is undoubtedly the profession with the lowest average price per hour, or wage per hour, requested wage per hour among all the digital workers. So we have a huge inflow in the least sophisticated, let's say, profession, and that is a challenge, I would say, on the long term. Why? Because exactly this profession, together with maybe translation and writing, is the most prone to the substitution by the AI applications and technology, which has the strongest influence in this profession. It also may reflect the fact what is going on the national labor markets, in a sense that we can notice, at least in Serbian market, it is obvious. We have the most data on that, and we are tracking in the more detail that the technological sector is really experiencing one very undefined position, that a lot of jobs, administrative jobs within the technology sector or in technological firms, the people who are doing this side or backup work, not coding, so administrative services, are really getting hard to get a job or lose their jobs in this sector. And obviously, a lot of this workforce is actually moving from traditional labor market over the online labor market. And we have one counterintuitive situation, at least when in the case with Serbia, is we are not presenting today Serbia, but it is highly interesting. We have a huge inflow in this profession, data entry and administrative services, while in the same time we have the profession in which it came to the decline of the average price per hour. So already a bad position for the workers in a sense that the average wage is relatively low compared to other professions. It experiences downward trends, but still the workers are coming to the digital labor markets in a huge numbers. We have nearly 2,500 new or reactivated workers entered the data entry. So it's really a huge amount of workers. So it's a huge company. If you think in a term of conventional business, it is the same as you got, I don't know, the big multinational company employing from once to more than 2,500 workers. So please, next slide. Next, yeah. We have, if we observe now what happens with the labor force on the professional level compared with the regional average values, we can identify some comparative advantages in each country. That means that the share of the workforce within the country in the total population of workforce, national workforce, is higher than there are the values on the regional level. And in that sense, Serbia, for example, has a very strong specialization in creative and multimedia services, which is traditionally a huge share of the workforce, more than 1/3 of the workforce. Bulgaria has a strong specialization in professional services and writing and translation. Albania has a bit more diversified comparative advantages with new emerging strength in data entry and administrative services. Three comparative advantages also are having the other countries, and the most distinct labor force in a sense of professional structure of the labor supplies are recorded in Romania and North Macedonia. So the professional structure in these two countries diverges the most from the average on the regional level. If we compared the extreme values, so the highest recorded values when it comes to the rise of the number of the gig workers, we notice that in Bulgaria and in Romania, the number of gig workers rose by the rate of 66% and 25% respectively in writing and translation. So this is the profession which showed a very specific pattern in these two countries, and these are the highest growth rates recorded in any of the observed countries on the level of individual occupations or professions. And we have also a contraction. So the patterns are quite diverging from regional values if we put that on the national level. And we have a relatively high contraction in professional services in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But when it comes to professional services, this could be explained, this relatively high shift could be explained by the fact that in this profession, in every single country, there is a relatively small number of gig workers which are active. So that I think that's from my side, and now Luba will tell you something more about the wages and the gender characteristics of the market.
Yes, thank you, Vladan, for this introduction, and it's very nice to see you all here today. So now I'm going to switch to hourly rates and try to provide some insights from our latest measurement, actually to remind us to some important indications of the value of the digital work across the region. So following the latest measurement, it has been shown that the average requested hourly rate continued to increase. So reaching a growth rate of 4.4% over the previous 6-month period. In comparison to the previous measurement, which we have done last year, this increase is somehow acceleration because the previous measurement showed that in the previous measurement, these hourly rates increased by only 2%. So when we look at the specific countries, I would say that the most remarkable case is Albania, where hourly rates increased by 18.3%. So this represents, I think, largest 6 months increase recorded in any country since we follow this analysis through the Gigmetar. So as the results, Albania improved her hourly rate value in the region, within the region, and has moved much more closer to some other countries. So when we look at the other countries, we can see that we can say, actually not see in the slides, but we can say that strong growth was also recorded in Croatia and Montenegro, while Bosnia and Herzegovina, including Bulgaria, experienced more moderated increases. In addition, Romania, Serbia, and North Macedonia recorded only marginal growth, which suggests relatively stability rather than significant wage expansion in these countries. So despite these changes, I would say that Croatia continued to have the highest average hourly rate in the region, which is at 28.9, almost 29 US dollars per hour, while on the opposite, North Macedonia remains the only country where the average rate is still below $20 per hour. So these results about the hourly wage, I would say, indicate very large differences within the region, between countries. And what is, I would say, the most important and interesting regional pattern that can be outlined here is that the 4 highest paying markets are all EU member states which can lead us to some conclusions that EU membership may provide an additional wage premium even in these global online market environments. So now I'm going to turn on the gender perspective of our analysis, where we also continue to observe some encouraging, although still, I would say, incomplete trend. So hourly rate increased for both men and women, but they increased faster for women. Women's requested hourly rate grew for 16%, while male workforce hourly rate increased for 30%. So this led to further convergence within men and women, and this slide. And this led to greater convergence within men and women. And now we can say that female freelancers now request on average 83.3% of the hourly rates requested by men. Looking through the countries, also we can notice some further differences. We can say that Albania has the smallest gender rate because in Albania we see that women hourly rate is actually on 92% of the hourly rates requested by men. Croatia, on the opposite, Croatia and Hungary exhibits the largest gender differences, actually disparities when it comes to hourly rates between men and women. And this led us to some conclusions of our results from the latest measurement. So I will briefly go through some important and the most important conclusions from our results. And the first one is the gig employment returned to growth after the decrease from the previous measurement. Then, as Vladan said, there is a confirmed dominance of the Upwork in comparison to other platforms when we observe the regional level, when we observe the 9 countries from the Southeast Europe, and then EU countries now account for more than half of regional gig workforce, meaning that Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, and Croatia are those countries who reach the more than a half of regional workforce in comparison to other halves non-EU members countries. Also, what is previously said is that data and clerical entry administrative services actually experienced the fastest growth here. The growth here was more than 30%. And also within this latest measurement, we saw that somehow there was a decline in the workers who were active on the platform. We recorded within the latest measurement here that only 28.4% of workers were actually active on the platform in the moment of our measurement. Also, we recorded from the perspective of hourly rates, we recorded another increase in the hourly rates, and the hourly rates on the average increased for 4.4%. But also what I outlined here is that regional differences between countries still remain. We have Croatia with the highest hourly rate in comparison to the region, and also we have Romania. We have North Macedonia as a country with the lowest hourly rate within the region, where female and male freelancers on average request on the platform on average request less than $20 per hour for their work on the platform. And looking through at the end, looking through the gender perspective of our region, we can say that women are less presented here. Women represent actually 39, almost 40% of the workforce on the digital platform on the Upwork, but they earn so far 83% of the men's hourly rates. So although the hourly rates per woman continue to increase, suggesting the convergence in the hourly rates, it is still very, very large gap between women and men on the average when you look at the regions. So these are the main conclusions for this our latest measurement, and I will call for my colleagues to outline the latest measurement, the latest analysis, and actually to bring us to the main conclusions, I would say, and to try to compare the regional context with the Serbian and also the regional context to what is currently happening globally when it comes to all trends that we also outlined at the beginning of the presentation.
Thank you, Ljubo. Well, I think that I titled these 2 slides that are coming like as a vignette, because today's aim was to present regional Gigmetar. And I think that Vladan also covered to an extent Serbia's specificity. So I will just briefly go through some of these results to round up the regional context versus Serbia, or vice versa, depends from which angle you're viewing things, so that we can give floor to Valentina's insights, which we believe are really, really interesting and give meat and flesh and blood to the results that we've been collecting for these last couple of months. Vladan already mentioned that Serbia has a big share in regional gig workforce. This continues over the time, so this is not a surprise. This is the second largest workforce after Romania. So this is something that reflects Serbia's continuous position on this market, which on one side has positive facets, but on the other side, you will see where the challenges are. Workforce growth was significant compared to the regional average. You can see that it stands at 7.7%, above the regional average of 3.1%, but it was previously said that it is really below Bulgaria's and Romania's growth, which is now two-digit growth of 20%. And finally, active workforce. We do have a number of active workers, which is really, really nice. You know that through our measurement, we do follow those workforce that is actively performing on all three platforms, but Upwork has been one of the platforms that we really follow to detail. And this is a positive trend. Now I would like to ask Ljubo to move to the second slide, or to the next slide, which says that strengths of Serbia's market are already presented in my bullet points that I shared with you recently or just a minute ago. Where the challenges are. So growth is slower than in rapidly expanding markets as Romania and Bulgaria. So that is something that we see in the last 6 months. We'll see whether this trend will sustain or will be changed in the coming period. Second important challenge is that average requested hourly rate has barely increased. And you see that by all standards, we can actually call it a stagnation. We cannot really say that this is a growth. Professional services showed also slight stagnation, and Vladan underlined the change on the market that shows greater influx of workers who are now present in data entry profession. So this kind of changes the facets of Serbia's digital labor market, luckily enough, not tremendously and not so much. Bottom line of this presentation when it comes to Serbia is that Serbia still remains one of the most mature and technologically specialized digital labor market in Southeast Europe. Combining scale, activity, and strong positioning in higher skilled digital work. We will see with the increase of artificial intelligence and influx of these services whether this Serbia's special status is going to stay or it is going to change. But for now, it seems that Serbia somehow manages to keep its mature and well-rounded position in the digital labor market of Southeast Europe. With this notion, I will conclude first part of our presentation, and I will ask you, our colleagues and friends, to ask questions if you have some. Please don't be shy. Okay, I can only conclude that you're really eager to hear the first insights that we have for you based on our qualitative research from Serbia about digital labor perception of changes on digital labor market, and we have selected Upwork. I think you have seen why is that. Upwork is a leading global platform, but also the leading platform in Southeast Europe, where majority of our digital labor force finds gigs and labor opportunities. So Valentina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Branka. And thank you for the lovely introduction. We may proceed to the first slide. I'm going to share with you the findings of the study that we conducted on how Serbian freelancers on Upwork are experiencing AI, as we already said, and what is AI doing to their work, their income, and their chances of staying competitive on the platform. I'm just going to share a bit of context here. As we already mentioned, Serbia has a very active Upwork freelancer community, and for a significant number of people, Upwork income has become either a primary livelihood or a meaningful supplement to their monthly income. But as Tanya already mentioned at the beginning of her presentation, Gigmetar data showed that the number of Serbian freelancers on Upwork was declining before this most recent 3.1%, I believe, a rise in the number of Serbian freelancers on Upwork. And we were aware that the decline might have multiple causes, and you can see them here on the slide. Those are some 5 interconnected pressures behind the decline: platform fee and visibility changes, growing global competition, especially from the markets which, let's say, have lower hourly rates, market saturation, AI, which is reshaping the demand, and Serbia's tax and regulatory setting. But most specifically, our question that we wanted to answer is how much of it is specifically about AI. We can move to the next slide, where I'm going to share just briefly some of the methodological points. The study used a mixed method approach. We had 62 online survey respondents who were recruited specifically through Upwork and through Serbian freelancer communities on social media. And we also conducted 6 in-depth interviews from the pool of survey respondents that we had. And this research was carried out in March and April of 2026. I want to flag one thing before we continue with the numbers. This is an exploratory non-probability sample that we have here, and it skews towards the platform top performers because more than 87% of them have had a perfect job success score, which means that people who have already left Upwork or who are struggling to get hired at all are largely not in this data. So we should keep this in mind as we go through the findings. We can move on to the next slide. Almost 9 in 10 respondents, which is practically 89% of our sample, said that working conditions on Upwork have worsened over the past 2 years. And only 4.8% of them think that things have improved. So as you can see on the following slide, please, the platform squeeze is already real, but before I get to the AI specifically, it's important to establish that the squeeze was already real before AI entered the picture. As you can see, 61% of respondents cite Upwork's Connect system and fees as major problem. And to apply for a job, freelancers usually have to spend Connects, which are the Upwork's virtual tokens. and each job requires a specific number of connects, and freelancers can buy additional connects when they run out of them, which means that they have to invest more money. Connects can also be used to boost their proposals, which means that freelancers have to spend extra connects to make their applications more visible to the client. And besides connects, they have to invest money in improving their profile, creating a portfolio, also for paid memberships, better tools, training, and sometimes they have to lower their initial rates in order to become more competitive and win the job. So basically what happens is that they are investing the money, but they are not certain about the outcome. Many of them said that clients just don't respond or stop responding to their messages and their applications, and they believe that the platform is protecting itself and clients, not the freelancers. So one of the interviewees also said that she believes that the system here is pay to play. She said that she has spent more than 900 connects in recent months in order to get the job. Another 61% of our respondents cited market oversaturation as the biggest problem. One of the interviewees said that many jobs receive 50, 100, or even more applications. So they have to bid, they have to pay to be seen, and this is the only situation in which they can actually get the job. One of our interviewees also shared his recent statistics when it comes to connects and the applications that he sent, and he said that in the past 90 days he sent 39 proposals, only 10 of them were viewed. He had 5 interviews but didn't land any job. So they are also complaining about the rise in platform fees, then the value-added tax on those fees, the taxes in Serbia, the banking transfer and transaction costs that are rising. And one of our respondents said that from a $200 job, after proposal costs, offer commission, and transfer fees, around $130 actually reaches him. And also, nearly half of our respondents cited price dumping by competitor from lower cost regions as their main issue. So the context for what AI is doing is already one of the significant pressure on costs and earnings. We can move to the next slide here. You can see that as I already said, AI is coming to the picture. We already have a lot of problems. The freelancers have already a lot of problems. And here, many of them say that people started using AI to write what they think are meaningless proposals. So many of them cannot stand out and get the jobs because clients are flooded with meaningless proposals. Anyhow, most of them use AI. It's not longer the questions, do they use it or not? It's just the question how they use it. Most of them use it to increase their productivity. Like 61% of them use AI tools to work faster or better. About 42% of them use AI tools in service delivery, and nearly 39% of them use AI tools for writing proposal or client communication. Only 8% of them stated that they don't use AI at all. Also, even though adoption is high, as we can see from these numbers, the market effects are being felt, and over half say that AI has decreased the demand in their field. About half say that they struggle to maintain previous prices, and 51% say that clients now expect work to be done faster and cheaper than before. So what is also important to say here is that the direct job loss is rare. Only 6.4% of our interviewees and survey respondents said that they have actually lost a job due to AI. We can move on to the next slide. What we need to mention, we already talked about this, but the AI pressure is not the same in all occupations, let's say on Upwork. 53, as we already said, 53% of respondents say that AI has decreased the demand in their primary field. But our respondents believe that in some occupations, such as data entry or translation, or let's say content creation and copywriting, the pressure is felt more than in other occupations, such as programming and people believe, our respondents believe, that some of these occupations are completely eaten by AI. One of our respondents said that one long-running service line, which was photo retouching, essentially disappeared almost overnight once the AI tools made it far less marketable. Also, one of our respondents was a client himself once when he was looking for a help in order to deliver one large task for a client. And he said that he was flooded with meaningless applications which were AI written, which is one of the issues that I already talked about. So we can move on to the next slide, where we can see that the picture is not only negative, let's say, the issues that I mentioned are negative, but 91.9% of our freelancers already use AI tools in their work to some degree. So they're pretty much fluent in AI usage, AI tools usage. And some of our freelancers are generally benefiting from AI. The same person that I already mentioned, who said that he was flooded with meaningless applications, is actually on the winning side of the freelancers because he is increasingly receiving higher value work in checking, validating, and improving AI outputs. And he says that this has become a niche itself that barely existed before. So we can see some jobs are being eaten by the AI, and some jobs are, coming as a new niche on this platform. One of our respondents said that he believes that AI will not replace everything, but people just need to know how to use AI to stay competitive. They have to boost their skills and learn new stuff in order to stay competitive in the market and actually use AI to improve their outcomes, not to be just run over. Yeah, so we wanted to see how are the freelancers adapting through skills and diversification now. So most of our freelancers respondents said that they are not making any specific investments in order to adapt to the new technologies and the rise of AI in platform work. And from those who are investing, many said, most of them said 37.1% that what they invest in is external skill development. Around 11% said that forming an agency is what they invest in, and around 10% say that they are investing in platform certifications. As we saw the decline in the number of freelancers from Serbia on Upwork, we also wanted to know where do they turn to in order to find clients. Most of them, around 68%, turned to LinkedIn in search for new clients. Around 60% used direct referrals and their networks to find clients. 43.5% use local contacts, and only 8% use other freelance platforms. I have to say that TopTal, GitHub, Behance, and Dribble had 0 mentions from our freelancers as a place where they look for their clients. We can move on to the next slide. So this slide practically sums up what we were talking about today. AI fluency is now the baseline. Practically all the freelancers in our sample are already using AI tools for their work. And for most freelancers, the question isn't whether to use AI, but how well do they use it in their work. We saw that the demand and price are under real pressure because 53.2% reported failing demand, and roughly half feel pricing or client expectation pressure tied to AI, even though direct job loss is still very rare. Also, what we could conclude is that the exposure is uneven. Routine language-dependent work such as translation, data entry, copywriting is being hit hardest, while specialized work is pulled up. And for some fields, the adjustment window, as we heard today, is months, not years. And with this, I would conclude my presentation. If there is any questions from our audience, I would be happy to discuss it.
Thank you, Valentina. Very interesting. These are our results, but I still find them really, really intriguing. So now questions, if you have any, you can switch to any language that you know. It can be Serbian, it can be English. Please join the conversation. You can also ask questions in the chat. Very quiet audience this morning. So if this is the case, no questions, I guess that you will be enjoying our reports that soon will be published on the Gigmetar website. As for the preview that Valentina presented, this work has its other parts, and we will share a full report sometime later, I guess in the fall of 2026. I would like to thank you all. First of all, the colleagues of Gigmetar team for great work and continuous enthusiasm. What else I can say? And also, I would like to thank all those who joined us today. So enjoy summer and see you all in fall 2026.
Bye bye. Bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Bye. Thank you.